Okay, well, all this bullshit was going on between me and Paul and the Aussie guys. Work resumed on the ship with the various departments, just making sure that they were getting all their equipment ready when we deployed. Um, the seismic equipment. Seismic equipment are basically just long tails. They can be miles and miles long. I think the longest that we had trailing behind the vessel, I think they were, I don't know, 15 or 20 miles long or something like that. And there was eight tails, and they picked up all the data from the ocean bed. They had big cannons at the back of the vessel, which were air cannons, and they were just looped over into the water, and they would blast air. They would just send booms down. That vibration would hit the Earth's crust or the sea floor, and all the information would bounce up again, and all the little electronic doodahs that were in the tails would pick up the information and send it via computer up to the room where all the techies were, and they would decipher stuff. So I would walk around the deck and make sure that everything was safe, and the guys were doing the jobs properly. They were wearing safety equipment, helmets, boots, coveralls, etc., etc. All the equipment that they needed. I did safety checks on tools, making sure that everything had been tested and it was in date. I went down to the galley and made sure that everything was clean, and the Aussies were spotless. Those fucking Aussie guys are brilliant. I just had a problem with a couple of them, and unfortunately for the rest of the Aussies, once everybody down tools, and I know that quite a lot of those guys didn't agree with what Paul and this Colin guy were doing, especially to me. I wasn't helping things either, you know what I mean? I didn't make it easy for anybody, but fuck them. As a medic, you're on your own, okay? I'm not attached to any team, okay? You've got the instrument crew, you've got the deck hands, you've got the bridge, you've got this, you've got that, you've got the other, okay? And as a medic, I'm basically on my own. So, which was just the way it was on vessels, because I wasn't on any particular vessel for a long time. I would bounce around from vessel to vessel. Okay, when a vessel needed a medic, or a medic was sick, or a medic didn't come back. Okay, so I was basically a floater, which I didn't get time to really make any friends, to be honest. And by the looks of loads of the guys on the vessels that I worked on, I wasn't fucking interested anyway. Anyway. So as I was in the galley, and I was going through the safety checks, there was a little chef, a guy called Wayne, and Wayne was about 5'4", little portly guy, really nice guy, fucking phenomenal cook, a brilliant chef, and the food later on that he made for us was just, it would have been in a Michelin star hotel. This guy was phenomenal. He was absolutely really nice. So, anyway, I got talking to Wayne, and he said to me, "I hear you're having a bit of trouble," he goes, with Paul the HLO. And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Can I ask you what's going on?" And I was a bit reluctant because he was one of the Aussie guys, and I thought, fuck it, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie about anything. I'll tell the guy the truth from my side of it anyway. So I told him, and I seen his eyes squint like this, and he turned round and he said to me, "I'm really sorry about that call." He goes, "Paul's my son." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Paul's my son." And he says he can be a real fucking asshole, he goes. And I looked at the size of Wayne to the size of fucking Paul, and he goes, "I know." He says, "I know." I said, "He's your son?" And he said, "Yeah." And he says, "Look," he says, I'm sick of this bullshit." He goes, "I'm gonna have a word with him." So he says, "Leave it with me." He goes, "And I'll see what I can do." He said, "If I got him to speak to you, would you sit down? Would you just meet with him? Me as a witness and you and him?" And I wanted the whole bullshit to come to an end, you know what I mean? And for the sake of just everything, the patient needed to get off, and You know what I mean? Nikki was still on the vessel. She didn't get home, so all the crew that was meant to chop her off didn't get off the vessel. So they were on for an extra couple of days. Anyway, I said, yeah, no problem. And he says, leave it with me. So I think it was that afternoon, after everybody had basically had like a cold lunch, that, you know, Wayne had basically prepped like a little salad bar and stuff, and we were all eating. The Aussies came in to eat first, and they didn't want to eat with any of us. And then the Filipinos and the rest of us on our, you know, on our crew, that we all came in and we sat down and stuff, and Arne asked me to sit with him. And so I sat with him, and I could see all these other guys from all the other departments looking over and, you know, fucking giving me daggers eyes, and, you know, I knew they were blaming me for everything. Oh, I should have shut my mouth and I should have just got on with it. And I'm not going to be bullied by anybody. I don't give a fuck how big they are or who they are. I'd rather just get off the vessel, to be honest, and fucking and went home than just fucking, you know, put my head up my ass and and be bullied by somebody just because they can. Anyway, so that afternoon, anyway, Wayne came up to the med centre, and he knocked on the door, and he said, "Call." He says, "Could you meet me and Paul?" He said, in the galley. He says, "For a coffee." He goes, "In a chat." He goes, "And we'll try to resolve this." I said, "Yeah, no problem." So as he went, I phoned Arne, and I told Arne what the guys had asked me to do. They didn't invite him down, so I says, "Look, Arne, just let me go down and see what's going on with this, and you know, and I'll give you a sit rep, you know, at the end of it." And he thanked me very much for that, because that guy's hands were tied, and he was on the phone constantly, you know, with you know, back home with Schlumberger back home and everything, and, you know, it wasn't a pleasant situation. So anyway, went up and had a coffee, sat down, and Wayne was mediator. And so Paul wanted to start, and then he's starting, you know, that I should have. He goes, yes. He says, I should have, you know, spoke to you, and I should have, you know, let you know what was going on, but he didn't apologise. He didn't say it was my fault. I'm sorry. He goes, yes. He goes, I should have done this and I should have done that, and I should have, you know, been able to explain myself a bit more. He goes, you know, but still never apologised. I, in an inadvertent way, accepted his apology, and I said, look, that's a two-way street. You know what I mean? I could have been a little bit more, you know, I could have been a little bit more cooler. You know, I could have spoken a bit softer, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I says, you know, how do we resolve this? And he said, well, we'll shake hands, he goes, and I'll speak to the guys, and we'll get operations underway, he says, by the morning. I said, that's okay, that's fine. So, shook hands with him. I didn't fucking want to be honest. He nearly broke my knuckles. His hands were like two shovels. Nearly broke my knuckles. And I know that he did that for, you know, for spite as well. So anyway, yeah, shook hands. Hopefully the situation was going to be resolved by the next morning. I thanked Paul and I thanked Wayne for mediating, and we all left. I went up to the bridge, up to Arne, sat down with the second mate, the third mate, and the heads of each department, 6 of the guys from different departments, and told them what was going on. And then it was then that the guy's name escapes me. I think his name might have been Steve, and he was in charge of, I would say, I don't know, escapes me at the minute. Anyway, I didn't really see him that much. But then this is all down to you. You fucking did this. If you'd have fucking shut your mouth when you came on the vessel, you know, instead of fucking doing this and then fucking doing that, we'd be eating, you know, we'd be having hot food, and we'd be this and we'd be that. So he starts pissing in the wind. And I says, well, it is what it is. I said, if you want to, you know, be bullied by these guys, and then Arne just stopped it. He says, look, I says, these guys have said that they will get operations, you know, underway. I said, Arne, I'm sure that they'll be in touch with you, and let's see how it goes. And then we were all left, and that was it. So by the next morning, the engines on the vessel were turned on. So yeah, that was a good sign. and the anchor was pulled, and we got underway. So that I wasn't privy with the meeting, but there was a meeting upstairs with Paul and the skipper, the second mate, the third mate, whoever, and some of the reps from the vessel, and they got underway, and that was it. So that kind of standstill came to an end for that saga, and we continued underway, but it didn't end there, and I'll be back with more.